Uh, Bacteria, viruses, protozoa, algae, fungi, and I guess that's
That's
it.
it. That's it. These are the 5 classifications of microorganisms. Okay.
Yes.
So I've got few simple questions for you before we begin today's class. Okay, read the question.
Name the two microbes that are involved in the process of decomposition.
Okay.
Humus and algae.
Algae and
Humus.
homos. Will you please repeat?
Humus and algae, sir.
Fungus. Okay.
Oh,
The first answer is correct, but algae is not the correct answer. Okay, give me a minute. Yeah. Fungus is the correct answer, but algae is not related to decomposition. Okay. Bacteria. Bacteria and fungus, these two are related to decomposition. Okay.
okay.
So the answer is fungus and bacteria. Read the second question.
Okay. Name the two types. Name the type of microorganism that are smaller than bacteria.
Smaller than bacteria. Okay. You see, there's an organism, there's a microorganism, okay, which is actually smaller than bacteria. You have to tell that.
Okay. Viruses
Viruses. Very good.
and
Viruses. That's the only one. That's it.
oh,
Next question.
write the name of bacterium that helps in the formation of curd. Oh,
Yeah.
bacteria. The bacteria. I, I don't know which bacteria it is.
Okay. See, next question.
Oh, name a microorganism which helps in nitrogen fixation. Um,
Both of
Bacteria.
the answers, that is
Bacteria.
bacteria. No, you
Or
actually have to name the microorganism which helps in nitrogen fixation. You have to name that bacteria. It is a bacteria. Okay.
or,
But what is the name of that bacteria?
uh, rhinozium.
You're very close.
I ribizonium.
It's
Ribizonium.
actually rhizobium. Okay,
Yeah,
Ahmed.
yes,
Okay,
sir.
great. You're actually very close. It's rhizobium. What is the spelling?
Rhizobium. Rhizobium. Oh,
Yeah.
I was about to say BM.
And yeah. Did you recall the previous answer? The previous question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is that?
The previous question is
Answer to
or
previous
is
question.
oh the I still don't know that. I,
That actually starts with L. I have given you a hint.
L.
That is starts with L. Yeah. The first letter is L. Okay, I'm telling you the answer. That is actually lactobacillus. Okay. Lactobacillus. What is the spelling?
LACTOBACILLUS.
That is lactobacillus. That helps in the formation of curd. What is curd? That is
The,
dahi. Right. That
yes,
is
sir.
dahi. All right. Coming back to our chapter, we were actually going to discuss about fungus. Right.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is the fourth classification of microorganism. Yeah. Any idea what are fungus?
Yes, molds and food poisonings and extra, sir.
They are bread mold and they lead to food poisoning. Right.
Yes,
So you
yes,
see
sir.
fungus, you see they are basically a very large group of organisms and they do not have chlorophyll. hence they are not able to photosynthesize. They are not able to perform photosynthesis. Why did I say it? They are a large group of organisms which do not have chlorophyll, and hence they are not able to perform photosynthesis. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Normally, you will find them growing on dead and decaying organisms. They derive nutrition from dead and decaying organisms. Some of the examples are mushroom. Okay, mushroom is also a type of fungus. Okay, and you will find that bread mold that usually grows on bread, and yeast powder, that is also a type of fungus. Okay, in bakery yeast powder is used. Okay, in
Yes, sir.
fermentation also yeast powder is used. So we will get there and discuss those things also. First talk about first we are talking about fungus here. So fungus, they are a large group of microorganisms. Okay, by the way, can you read my handwriting? Is it visible properly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
The
they are a
large.
large group of organisms that do not have chlorophyll, do not have chlorophyll. Okay, and
Yes.
hence they won't be able to do what?
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis, and cannot perform photosynthesis. Okay, and what are their food?
Um, the food is bread
Breads,
or I
or we can say that decaying matter. You will see that bread that is healthy, that is fresh, it will not easily catch fungus. But if it is left in open, immediately after 1 or 2 days, you will see fungus is growing on that. Why? Because the spore of bread mold, okay, it is basically present everywhere in the air. Okay, so
okay,
we
sir.
see that the food that is left in the open, or the decaying food that is getting rotten, that is rotting, that is basically not fit for consumption, on that type of things fungus grows. So we say that they derive nutrition from decaying matter,
Okay,
from
sir.
decaying
Matter.
matter. Okay,
Okay.
what are some of the examples of fungus? First one is like very common, which you have mentioned several times. That is
Fungus mole,
br-
bread
bread
mole.
mold.
Yes.
Okay, so bread mold, it grows on bread,
Yes.
right? It grows on bread, and if you were to closely observe this bread mold, this will look something like this. See, figure 2.4, first one. This is a bread mold. That is how it looks. Okay,
Okay,
and
sir.
see its head, the bulb-like structure. In it, see, there are dotted structures. There are so many dots in this. So that is actually spores. That is what?
Spores.
Spores. Similar to the like you see the pollen grain in flower. You know what is pollen grain in flower?
No, sir.
You don't know pollen grain in flower. Okay. So have you seen sunflower?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the center, you see there are so many pollen grains. If you see a sunflower, okay, in the center it looks like this. Okay. Okay, excuse my drawing, you might not like it. Okay, so that is a sunflower. Okay, and in the center there are so many pollen grains. You see, pollination happens when this pollen grain of one flower gets transferred from one plant to another, where it fertilizes the another flower. One flower is fertilizing the another flower. So notice
Okay.
how they have got pollen grain in stem. So similar to the pollen grains, in the head of the bread mold, you will see there are so many tiny spores present in there. So this spore, when the head of the bread mold it gets ruptured, you know what is ruptured?
Yes, sir.
It opens. So when it ruptures, all the spores starts to come out of it and it spreads into the air. So whatever food is present in that area, what will happen? These spores will land on that food and it will contaminate that. It will start growing on there, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is how bread mold grows. Okay, so it is basically present almost everywhere. You can test it like this. If you keep food open in the air for some time, by that I mean for 1 or 2 days in the open, after on the third day you will observe that bread mold has grown on that. So hence we see that the spores of the bread mold are present everywhere. Okay,
Okay. Okay, sir.
spores of bread mold are present in air almost everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what are some of other examples of fungus? They are what? Mushrooms. Okay. So first one is the bread mold. Some another example. You can consider example of mushrooms also. So mushrooms are edible also. Some mushrooms are edible. Some mushrooms are not edibles. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we have got other fungus also. We have got yeast also. Okay. Now, yeast, they are used in bakery also. So, yeast is a microorganism. Yeast is a fungus that is helpful for humans. Okay, it is used in making food. Okay,
Yes, sir.
for the consumption of bread, for the production of bread, yeast powder is actually used. Okay, so we will discuss that as well. Okay, now uh, we have basically covered all the 5 different types of microorganisms. Okay, that is what? Bacteria, fungi, fungus, algae, protozoa, and viruses. Now the
Yes.
next question comes to you. The very simple questions comes that where do these microorganisms live? Everyone has got a habitat. What are the habitat of microorganisms? Where do they live? Any answer?
Mm, no, sir. I have.
Look, the answer is very simple. So the microorganisms are found practically everywhere in all types of habitats. Okay,
Okay.
they are practically found in almost all types of habitats in the world. They are found to be living deep inside the ocean. They have also been found to be living in volcanoes. Think of
And also,
volcano, right?
but
So they
but
can, yeah,
but sir, volcano is like hot, right? So,
it
and
is hot.
yeah, and those are like bacteria. So don't they get burned like
Look,
like
recently,
them?
recent, recently there was an organism. Basically, it has got a very hard cover on its body. It looked like a seal. Okay, so it's the shell of the seal. Shell, the hard covering of the seal. Okay,
Yes.
so there was an organism that looked like a seal. It had a shell made of iron. Okay, and its shell can sustain temperature up to 1500 degrees Celsius.
Oh,
Remember, a person will die if the temperature is 50 to 60 degree. He will die. He or she will die. But there's a seal living uh, in a volcano which is not so active. Volcanoes are also of 3 types. One is active, one is dormant, one is extinct, right?
yes. Sir. Yes,
One
sir.
volcano which erupts frequently, one that erupted a long time ago, and one that has gone dead, that will never erupt again. So volcanoes are also of 3 types. So in the volcano which is not so active, so in the core of that volcano it was found that there was an organism living that has a shell made of iron, and it can live in temperature up to 1500 degrees Celsius. So nature is very amazing. You will see that, and similarly, it was found that there are some microorganisms also that can live and survive in these kind of environment also.
Yes.
And talking about their habitat, okay, habitat of microorganisms which we are discussing, okay. So they are found to be living in harshest of climates, like they are found to be living in rivers, oceans, okay. They are found to be living in volcanoes also, okay. And they have been found to be living in ice also. Now imagine they can survive inside ice also, right? And they can survive in salty water also. They can survive in salty water also. And there are some microorganisms that are found to be living in desert also, desert soil also. So what do we conclude from this? That microorganisms are practically found in all types of environment. Okay. Microorganisms are found in all types of environments. Right, Ahmed?
Yes, sir.
What could this environment be? It could be rivers, it could be volcanoes, it could be ice cold waters, it could be hot springs. Okay. It could be hot springs. You know what are hot springs?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Warm water that gushes from the ground, that are called
Yes.
hot springs. So they are found to be living in such environments. Okay. Apart from this, they are found to be living on dead and decaying organisms also. Okay. So they are found to be living in the body of dead and
Dick.
decomposed matter. Dead and decomposed organic matter. Now, when I say organic matter, what does the term mean? Organic?
Natural.
Yes, Ahmed. What does organic mean?
Natural, sir.
Yes, organic means what?
Natural. Natural.
Natural. Yeah. Organic means natural or something that comes from plants and animals. Okay. Plants and animals. So the habitat of different microorganisms can be in decomposed plants and animals also. Okay. And what about human bodies? Are microorganisms found inside human body also?
Yes.
Right. Can you name some examples of the microorganisms that lives inside human body? There are so
Uh,
many. Right.
yeah, they are. Is there a bacteria, sir?
It could be bacteria, it could be anything. Okay. So you see, basically the human body, when it gets infected by any bacteria or virus, they are living inside our body as a parasite,
Yes, sir.
right? So there are so many different types of disease causing bacteria and viruses which lives in the body of humans and certain animals. So they
Yes.
live in human body as parasites, live in
Yes.
humans and animals as parasites. Okay. So we are done discussing about the habitats of animals, habitats of microorganisms. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you were to talk about, basically the chapter is microorganism friends and foe. So certain microorganisms are useful for us. They are friendly in nature, and certain are evil in nature, like the disease-causing microorganisms. So let's uh, talk about the friendly microorganisms. What are the friendly microorganisms? Okay, can you name some example where we see that we actually benefit from microorganisms?
Um. I, I,
Yeah, Think of some organisms, microorganisms, which actually benefit us.
Oh, okay, sir. Uh, uh,
Look, remember
Lactobacillus.
lactobacillus. Very good. Lactobacillus. That is help. That is used to make curds. Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
remember yeast bacteria, yeast fungus,
Yes, yes,
yeast, which is a type of fungus that is help, that is used in the process of bread making, in the
oh,
production of what? In
yes,
the
sir.
production of alcohol. Okay. And you
Okay.
see there are so many microorganisms that are used in the production of medicines also. They're helpful in the production of medicines also. Have you heard of antibiotics?
Antibiotic.
Antibiotics which
Yes,
doctors recommends to take. So
yes, sir.
they
Yes,
are
sir.
what? They are also made up of from certain bacterias. Okay. And what is the utility of microorganism in agriculture sector? In the field of agriculture, how they are used? Remember in the previous chapter, I discussed about humus.
Yes, sir.
What is humus made up of? What is this humus made up of?
Dead and
Does have a
decaying matter. Dead and decaying matter.
dead and decaying matter. Apart from dead and decaying matter, there are living matter in it also, like earthworm and certain bacteria. So the rhizobium bacteria, that you will also include in where? In the living category, that is helpful for plants, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
microorganisms, they are used in the field of agriculture also. Okay. And they are helpful for our environment also. How they're helpful for our environment?
Be because they.
They helps in the decomposition of dead organisms,
Oh,
dead
yes.
plants, right? If there's a dog lying somewhere, he's dead. Okay, if that dog is lying dead somewhere and there is no one there to pick it up, okay, and cremate it or bury it, so what is going to happen in the when it is left in the open? Microorganisms and insects are going to feed on and that. Okay, and after a few days it will be the bones of that dog will be left only. Okay, so they
Okay.
help to keep the environment clean also. Otherwise, if there is no microorganism, what will happen? It will be injurious to human health also, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
they
sir.
make the animal waste into harmless product. Okay, they decompose it and makes it harmless for human health. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so we will study the different utility of microorganisms in detail. Okay, so first, if you were to the summarize it, what is the utility of microorganism? We say that there are certain microorganisms. There are
Certain
some.
micro.
There are certain microorganisms that are used by us for various purposes, right?
Yes, sir.
For various purposes. Okay, and they are called friendly microorganisms.
Yes, sir.
Called friendly microorganisms. Okay, so let's discuss some of them. The first thing we are going to discuss about is making of curd. Okay,
No, but okay, sir.
so you already know that lactobacillus is going to have a role here. Okay, so you already know that the milk is being turned into curd by the bacteria that is known as lactobacillus. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so you must have seen that if if your mother ever made curd at home, or if you even know, if you ever happen to saw the process of curd making, what happens? A little amount of pre-made curd is added to the milk, and it is set aside for some time. Okay, so it is left overnight for a period of whole night. It is left undisturbed. So in that time, the pre-made curd which was added into the milk, what happens? The lactobacillus starts to grow further. Okay, and it
Yes.
converts the whole milk into curd. Okay, so basically the lactobacillus, it starts to multiply in the milk. Okay,
Oh,
so that is what is happening here. So we say that we use a bacteria called lactobacillus to convert milk into curd. So what is the process? What does the process involve here? Adding pre-made curd to milk. So pre-made curd is added to milk. So here what happens? Lactobacillus bacteria multiplies.
yes, sir.
Multiplies and makes the whole milk into curd. That is what simply happens here. Okay, and you see curd is used in various dishes, like if you consume idli, and if you simply consume curd in raw form, it is added with sugar also and then consumed. Okay, so some of the important dishes have got curd as a very important part of it. Okay, now that is it. Now name some other utility of microorganisms. Like if you see bread, okay, in the bread making industry, in the industry where breads are produced at a large scale, okay, so they take help of a bacteria called yeast. Okay, and
Yes,
yeast
sir.
falls in which category of microorganism? Is it fungus? Is it bacteria? Is it virus? What is it?
Fungus.
It is a fungus. Okay, so next thing is making of bread. So what goes in the bread making industry? What they do? They add yeast powder. Okay, they add yeast powder to flour. Okay, that is atta. Okay,
Okay.
they add yeast powder into flour. Okay, and what happens there? The yeast reproduces rapidly in this flour, and it releases carbon dioxide during the respiration.
Okay.
Let me explain. Let me explain why activity here. You must be having an activity here. Yeah, that's why I've taken the anxiety text here, anxiety book. Read activity 2.3 here. Then you will get to know what is the utility of yeast powder here.
Take 1 kilogram flour, atta or maida.
No, it's not 1 upon 5, it's half kg.
Oh, 1 upon
1
2.
upon 2 means half kg. Yeah.
Okay. Add some sugar and mix it with warm water. Add small amount of yeast powder and knead to make a soft dough. What do you observe after hours? Did you find the dough rising? Yes, sir. This is
Right.
still
So what is happening here? You will see the dough is rising. It starts to rise after some time. See the two figures here. In the second figure, dough has risen above the level of the bowl here. So what has happened here actually? The yeast, it requires a medium to reproduce. The yeast powder, the yeast present in the powder, which has been added to atta, what happens here?
what happened?
Yeast, it requires nutrition to grow further. So
Yes.
that nutrition and that environment, okay, if you read the activity carefully, what has been added here? Some amount of warm water has been added along with some sugar. So
Yes.
yeast requires a warm environment to grow, and some food also. So that food is here, that atta and some sugar which we have added, and a environment, a warm environment that is being provided with warm water. So yeast powder has got a very good environment to reproduce, to multiply further. Okay, Ahmed. So what happened along with this? I added few more things, some sugar, and what else I added? Yes, Ahmed, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what else we added? Warm
What?
water, right?
Yes, water.
We added warm water also. Okay, so we added three things here. That is flour, that is called atta, some sugar, and some warm water. Now what will happen? This yeast has got a very good environment to multiply further. So it will start to reproduce. So
Oh,
reproduce means it is basically multiplying from 1 yeast to 2 yeast, from 2 to 4, 4 to 8. The number is just multiplying. It is increasing there. So you
okay.
see, just like we humans, when we breathe, when we breathe out, when we breathe out, we releases carbon dioxide, right? When we are doing the process of respiration, you know about respiration?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, respiration. In respiration, what happens? Our body utilizes the food and releases carbon dioxide. Okay.
Yes, sir.
In our cell, what happens? In the cells of human body, respiration happens. I'm just giving a brief of respiration. Okay. So in respiration, what happens? In the cells of human body, glucose is broken down. This is a cell. This is glucose. So this glucose is broken down. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Glucose is broken down and carbon dioxide is released. What is released?
Carbon
Carbon
dioxide.
dioxide. And same goes for yeast also. Same thing happens in yeast also. They
Yes,
also break down the glucose and release carbon dioxide. Okay.
yes, sir.
Now, where all this process is happening, all this thing is happening in the atta, in the flour, right?
Yes, sir.
The dough you have, which you have made, this is happening there. Okay. Say there was few amount of dough here. In the next step, it is started to rise. Then
Yes, sir.
it started to rise. So what happened? You know, air expands. Air has a tendency to expand. So
Yes,
this carbon dioxide, which is being released, CO2, is released by yeast. We know that air expands. So this CO2 is going to expand, right?
yes, sir.
CO2 will expand. So due to expansion, the dough will also expand, right? So
Yes, sir.
that's how this respiration due to which carbon dioxide is being released, utilizing this thing, people make bread in the industry. Okay. And the bread which is made, it is actually soft. Okay. And if the bread makers, if they don't add yeast powder, the bread which is being made, it will be very hard. Okay. I hope
Okay, sir.
that's clear. Now, can you explain the whole process to me under 1 minute? What just happened in the production of bread?
Okay, sir. So we just take a flour and we add some eggs in it to make it a bit sturdy, and then we add warm water so it becomes a dough, and
Okay.
then we cover it with some,
Some cloth
yes. So the
or
dough
something
expands. Mm,
so that it expands. So why
yes,
it expanded?
because of yeast.
Because of heat? No,
Oh,
heat was
yeast.
the medium. It because of yeast. Okay.
Yes,
Okay, go on.
and then the dough is becomes softer and glucose is break down, and
No, no. The dough has become softer once it starts to expand. Okay,
Yes,
when
yes,
it's expanded, it became soft. But
yes,
why it expanded? The reason behind that is
yes.
the yeast is multiplying. Their number is increasing from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and so on. So you see, every organism does respiration. Okay, they have to take energy from the glucose. So to take energy from something, you need to break that. So yeast breaks the glucose, and in the process of breaking that glucose, carbon dioxide is released. When glucose is breaking down, carbon dioxide is released. And as you know, air has a tendency to expand. Hence, it will expand in the atta. In the dough, it is going to expand.
Oh,
That's why the bread expands. The dough expands here. Got it now? Got this? Yes, Ahmed? Yeah, Ahmed, are you there?
yes, sir, I am.
Okay. So we see that yeast is a fungus used in the have by the way, have you been taking notes of whatever we are discussing in the class? Are you
Yes, sir.
making notes? Okay, very
Yes.
good. Okay, I will ask for the notes to check. Okay, so make notes of the classes also. So yeast is a fungus used in the production of what? Production of bread.
Bread.
Okay. Now, next we are going to discuss about the commercial use of microorganisms. These are all use of microorganism on a smaller scale. Okay, like making of food, making of curd. These are used on a small level. But on a commercial level, when I say commercial use, that relates to production of something on a large scale. Like we talked about antibiotics. So antibiotics are not made on a local level, not on a small level, right?
Okay.
So there are big companies which makes medicines. Okay, there are big companies which produces alcohol by the help of microorganisms. Okay, and the vinegar that is also called sirka. You know sirka? What is sirka?
Yes, sir.
So silica, all these are made with the help of microorganisms, and all these things are produced on a large scale. So we are going to talk about commercial use of microorganisms.
Okay, sir.
Commercial use of microorganisms. Okay. By the way, what are other names of microorganisms?
Microbes.
We microbes. Very good. In short, we call them microbes. Okay. Now, you see, microorganisms are used on a large scale for the production of alcohols and vinegar and medicines also. So we
Okay,
say
sir.
that microorganisms are used for the production of alcohol, drugs. By drugs, I mean medicine here. Okay, medicine are also called drugs.
Yes, sir.
Medicine and vinegar on a large scale.
Yes, sir.
Okay, on a large scale. So let's discuss about each of the steps which goes on here. So first we are going to talk about the production of alcohol. Any idea how alcohol is produced?
No, sir.
Okay, production of alcohol. Okay, this chapter has been completed in your school, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the production of alcohol, what goes here? Yeast powder, which we are discussing earlier. Yeast, which is a fungus, is used in the production of alcohol? Is used in the production of alcohol? No. What goes in the what goes in here? Look, the alcohol which is being produced by the help of yeast powder, it is used in making other components also. It is used in making beer, wine, whiskey, okay, and some other industrial products also. Okay. Now you see, yeast is capable of converting the sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Okay. You see, yeast is capable of doing what? Converting sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. And you see, where does
Yes.
this sugar come from? The sugar comes from different fruits. Alcohols are made from fruits, you know this thing,
Yes, sir.
and they are made from barley also, from maize also, from rice also.
Hmm?
Okay. From even from rice, alcohol can be made from rice also. So
Okay.
the sugar required for, I'm just giving you a brief and then write all the steps here. So alcohol, to manufacture that, what happens in the industry, yeast powder is used to convert the sugar present in food into alcohol. Okay, that is what happens basically there. And this process of conversion of sugar into alcohol has been called as fermentation. It is called as
Sorry.
fermentation, right? So what goes
Yes,
in
sir.
the process of fermentation? What goes in there? Yeast plus sugar equals to alcohol plus carbon dioxide. Okay, so we say that yeast has got the capability to do what? Yeast can do what?
He
It is
can
capable
make.
of converting, hmm, of converting sugar into alcohol.
Yes, sir.
Okay, converting sugar into alcohol, and carbon dioxide is released, and carbon dioxide. Okay, so this sugar is coming from fruits, rice, maize, barley, wheat, etc.
Yes, sir.
So sugar is basically coming from where? The sugar required for production of alcohol is coming from different fruits. Okay,
Gaya.
maize,
Angkada ko.
maize, barley, rice,
Pencil से पहले
maize,
से
etc. Okay, so what happens? We say that the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol by the action of yeast is simply called as fermentation. So define this. How to define fermentation? The process
sir, sir.
of conversion of sugar into alcohol. Sugar into
Alcohol.
alcohol by the action of yeast is called what? Is called fermentation. Okay, read the definition. What does it say? Yes,
Sir.
Ahmed, read the definition.
Okay. Yeast has got capability of converting sugar into alcohol and carbon carbon dioxide. The the sugar is coming from different food, maize, barley, and maize. Okay, sir.
Etc. And what is the definition of fermentation? the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol
Okay.
by the action of yeast is called fermentation.
Yes,
Okay.
fermentation. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, any idea who discovered this process of fermentation?
Uh,
Look, there was a scientist named Louis Pasteur in the year 1857. Okay. In that year, he discovered the method of formation of alcohol by the process of fermentation.
yes,
Okay.
sir.
So if someone asks you who discovered the method of formation of alcohol by fermentation, you will say it was Louis Pasteur in the year 1857.
Yes, sir.
So, so Louis Pasteur was a scientist who in the year 1857 discovered this method. The method method of fermentation. Okay. Ahmed, I haven't received the science assignment. Okay. You have sent the maths assignment, but I haven't still received the science assignment. Okay. So you are supposed to do that also. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, what else we are left with? Remember, apart from alcohol on a commercial scale, what else is manufactured? It is medicines,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So let's talk about
Yes, sir.
medicinal use of microorganisms. Okay. Uh, we have got only 3 minutes left. It won't be covered today. So from next class, we are going to discuss about the medicinal use of microorganisms. Okay. Like you see, there's so many antibiotics which are present in the market, like streptomycin or penicillin. These are all antibiotics made from different microorganisms. Okay.
Okay.
So read what we have discussed so far. Read all the different 5 classifications of microorganisms. Where do they live? Okay, their habitat, and discuss till commercial use of microorganisms. Okay. So in next class, I will be asking about fermentation. Okay. And how bread is made in industries. So read about these things. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Any confusion so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, few more questions for you here. Okay. Who discovered fermentation, which we just discussed? Who was the
Scientist,
one to discover fermentation?
scientist Lewis.
Louis. What was his full name? It was Louis
Louis,
Pasteur.
Louis Pasteur.
Louis Pasteur. Okay. Okay then, Ahmed. That's it for today. And which chapter is going on, by the way, in your school? It's chapter 3, right?
Yes, sir. And it's the what is it thing? Revision.
Okay, revision is going on. Okay, okay. So far, we have come to section 3, that is useful and harmful microorganisms. Okay. Okay, we have still got so many important things to cover. Okay. By the way,
Okay.
do you revise whatever we discuss in the class?
Yes.
After the class, do you revise the things which we discuss in the class?
No, sir.
You are supposed to revise them. Okay. So that you will be able
Oh,
to
okay, sir.
answer the questions in the class. And one more thing, are you making notes?
Yes, sir.
The notes which I'm providing